Hey, peoples, how is everybody? Is the sound okay? I tweaked my mic a little bit, so I'm not sure how it sounds, but hopefully it sounds okay. How is everybody this fine evening on this double XP weekend? Woo! We'll give everybody a moment to come in, and then we will get started. Yeah, double XP. We got a lot to talk about because there's the double XP weekend with all of the goodies that go with it. There's the information we had on all the bands in the last few weeks. And then we have a little bit of lore tonight. It's been a week. So I'm hoping I have enough lore stuff to talk about. I had a very specific question that was shockingly hard to find good answers to. So hopefully we'll have enough to do that. So yay. Excuse me. I've been talking a lot more this week than I usually have, so I'm getting old. So let's get started, I guess. For those of you who are new and haven't popped in before, my name is Meg, also known as Dead Woman Walking. Not morbid at all. There's a whole story behind that. But welcome, longtime gamer, big Dune fan. See my Dune stuff, but I got a lot of other stuff. I'm not a one-trick pony with my nerddom, which is fine. Not gatekeeping here or anything. Yeah, so I'm gonna give this a moment because we want to wait for the ads to roll because they usually roll here in about a moment or so. We don't want to skip anything or have anybody miss stuff. I do have a pretty long PowerPoint tonight. May have gotten a little bit carried away with my prep for that one. I started with some stuff and then I thought I had it, and then a bunch of things kind of appeared towards the end of the week. I try to have it done a little earlier in the week in case things come up. And yeah, and then it's been kind of a busy week with the unexpected double XP, and then there's some great stuff came up on our world for Landsrod. So Mila's been busting ass all week to get us some votes for the Landsrod. We've been a little busy. So people are pinging me. Why are they pinging me? I know. Hopefully it'll be good. It's all good. Yeah. I ran out of steam. I don't know how you did it, but I ran out of steam. You are a lot tougher than I am, which we already know. And I appreciate you carrying me through some of those contracts. I ran some on the test client with Servina, who also had to carry me until we died repeatedly in the fire testing station. And then the game knocked me offline and I couldn't get back in. So I can say I tried. I'm waiting for this. It usually comes up right about now with a ad break. There it is. Starts in 59 seconds. I knew it was coming. Hello. Before I forget, let's get all the promo stuff out of the way. If you have not already purchased the game, it is on sale for, I think, Funcom's having a big sale. A lot of their stuff's somewhere between 30 and 40% off, including Conan and, of course, Dune Awakening. Now is a good time. You can purchase it through my link. Right there you go, boy. Yeah, I have you guys trained. I appreciate that. We also have the merch. The lighting in here is awful. I don't have any overhead lighting. I'm relying on lamps and my monitor, obviously. I'm doing the guy from Evangelion with the lights and the glasses. So, but yeah, we got merch. What else we got? We got the game. We got merch. We got a Discord. We've got a Discord that's been nice and busy. We had some very nice conversations the last few days about how we've built a nice community, and that's really something to be proud of. Before launch, some of us were in the official Discord together, some of us were in the beta Discord together, and some of us, like Paolo, I know from Conan, and we've had this really good opportunity to build a nice community. It's not all of us sitting around in a nice echo chamber where we all completely agree on everything and sing kumbaya under the Muad'Dib moon. But we built a good place for us where we can talk about things and mostly disagree in a good way. We're not too stabbity and that sort of thing. So it's definitely something to be proud of, and I'm grateful to all of you guys that have made this community possible through generous viewership from viewers like you. I feel like I'm on PBS. It's all good though. It's all good. So the ad break is stop another minute on the ad break, and then we'll jump in with the PowerPoint. Like I said, I've got a pretty good PowerPoint tonight. I'm really kind of excited about it because it's got a lot of stuff. I did find the art station for a lot of the concept artists for the game, so I grabbed a bunch of stuff so we can go. It's something nice to show. Sorvina Savage, if you're not already following, she also streams and has a YouTube channel. Put up a nice YouTube video showing off some of the visuals from the new testing stations, because again, they worked really hard on making this game look just being really amazing. I did share the video link in our Discord under shameless plug, because that's the place for it, right? We lift each other up, right? We have been very, very lucky to build an amazing community, and I'm glad for it. It's the game community is kind of not in a great place right now, and that is a little sad. That is a little sad, but we'll make with what we've got, right? We'll make with what we got. And since we are back, now is the time to bring up our PowerPoint. Because we all love the PowerPoint, right? Let me set this up. I click the button. There we go. We are on 29 episodes. Time flies. There has been some rubber banding. A lot of people have been having latency and rubber banding the last week or two. I have had bad FPS drops, really bad FPS drops, like into the teens, and it turns into a slideshow. So we're going to add a screen. Nope, that's not the one I want. That's what I want. Okay. Season 2, Episode 4, that is Episode 29. I know, time flies when you're having fun. That's still one of my favorite screenshots. Hopefully, do continue. I think we need to be making sure we report the lag, not like every hour or something, but making sure that the systems are keeping track of when we're having bad rubber banding, because it is a concern, especially when we have this heavier weekend. It is a double weekend. We're getting double XP. You're getting double Lands Rod rewards, double faction rewards, double loot inside the testing stations. It's just lots of good things, lots of good reasons to try and play this weekend if you are able to. And again, if you've got a busy Lands Rod world, this would be I imagine the board is quite busy right now since everybody's getting stuff. It's a lot of stuff. Keep track of the time zones too, because time zones just change for a lot of places, but not everywhere. So make sure you keep track of your local time zones too. On that note, speaking of stuff going on, the wiki still has their promotion for the Atreides battle rifle skin. They have you do little missions like complete something that would add information to the wiki. There's lots of things that are out of date. The wiki for the entry for this podcast hasn't been updated since the 3rd episode. It's a little out of date. I don't have the spoons for it though. I feel bad. But yeah, there's lots of stuff that has not been added, and all of the stuff for the new content that is in these testing stations. That battle rifle, if you're wanting it, this is the way. And most people are able to complete it fairly easy. I think it's not like overly complicated. Basically, as you play the game and enter some, share some information. So when in doubt, the discord.wiki is the place to ask. They have all the information there. Brad and company and Mojo and them are working hard to make sure that the wiki is updated. Speaking of updates, so this came out from early in the week. And Vanessa is one of the developers, and people were asking, I guess over the weekend, the Solari dupe had picked back up, and big worlds like Harmony and Pax, their markets went into chaos. And she did point out it takes a while to fix these things. When systems touch each other, you have to be very careful. You fix one thing, you break other things. Breaking things is easy. Fixing it so it doesn't break again in that way or anything else takes time. She did say, of course, that they're banning. Funcom has always been, in general, very quiet about the numbers of people banned because they don't want other people to take it as a challenge. The follow-up of that is they took action against the bad actors who abused the exploit. They've done bans, including temp bans, deleted Solari, to try and essentially people who are laundering the money, that kind of thing. I mean, if you accidentally duped, I don't know how you would accidentally dupe it, but I had people insist that you could accidentally dupe your money. I don't know. Once, okay. But, after that, if you were, throwing your local market into chaos or whatever, seeing some people posting stuff for ridiculous amounts of money, and I'm like, you sold something for 10 billion Solari. The posting amount, just the money it takes to put it on the market alone is 10 times what we have as a group. So it's kind of hard to say we did it legitimately. I don't know. But it will take time. The market will settle. We just have to kind of be patient with it. And I think if people would stop breaking the game for like 5 minutes, then they could start working on bugs and content. But between the console prep and squishing all this stuff the last 2 weeks, they really haven't had much of a chance to work on stuff. Yeah, and see, that's the thing. If once is by accident, you confirm how you did it, you do a bug report, and you don't do it again. That's what we did in beta. You find a thing. How did I make it do the thing? And then you report it, and then you don't exploit it again. And that's the thing is the exploits. There were some lively conversations in the official Discord about the use of exploits. And I kind of stand by my thing. If you need to lean into an exploit to play the game, that is a skill issue. And I'm not saying that as a combat person, but I'm saying if you can't go make your money legitimately, or you cannot be bothered to go farm stuff to repair your stuff, that's a you issue. That's, if the game is too hard that you can't go farm some aluminum, I don't know what your problem is. I don't know how to help you with that. I don't know. Laziness. On that note, with the PTC, we got new stuff coming up, including the Ruins of Tempo. I did a video on this earlier this week. 5 new locations. It's one location, but you can do all 5 Landsrad mission types in it. Other locations, like the testing stations, you can do 1. Some locations you can do 3 or 4 contracts there, but you can't do all 5 types that you can in this location. So that video is up. It was I really enjoyed playing it, and if you're into lore, it ties directly into the books as far as the location goes. And if you've been listening to 5 Days at Carthag, it links to that too. So it's a very lore heavy location. If you're into the Dune lore, that's definitely a place to go and run all those contracts and read all the stuff is great. Adjusting PvP damage to vehicles and structures to better handle the increased damage output from the weapons and augments. There's still a lot of concern about surfers in the deep desert. The active surfing is not the problem. It's the person on there with the grade 5 las gun one-shotting your vehicle. So there's a lot of balancing that needs to be done for PvP to work well. I'm hoping that's what they're working on with the coming update. So if you are one of the people that are into testing and on the PTC, that definitely is something to kind of poke at. A big part of this time's PTC was looking at forced world closures. So we know that in the next few weeks, they're going to give us the list of worlds that are going to close. There's already kind of a tentative unofficial list. They haven't said it's not the official list. They've said it's that and some. So we don't know the whole list yet, but there's a tentative list, but there of worlds that will close. And so you can, once that list is made public, you can take your character and go wherever you want. Or if you decide to hold off, they will essentially pack you up and move you. And so this test was to kind of test that process. For most of us, it worked fine. There was some the errors that they saw were quite common errors, and so they know kind of what to expect. All your vehicles and inventories will be packed up, all that stuff. This is sort of like backing yourself up, but when you pack yourself up, you need to make sure your vehicles are broken down and put away. This one did it for you. I backed all my stuff up because I'm paranoid and I'm like, I didn't want to lose stuff. But I know most people it moved fine and most people had no issues. So again, it is in testing. We'll know more hopefully soon. Iggy's been very quiet this week. We expected a list soon. He promised us a list soon. So hopefully we'll go. Yeah, a lot of people backed nothing up, and the move was fine from most people. There was some delays between seeing the world that was closed to get your stuff to move to the next world because the buttons are on the closed world, but they fixed that, and then the actual move process and getting where you were going seemed to work fine for most people. So and things, the actual move, all of your stuff goes with you. Most people had no problem. I had moved I parked in Arrakis, and so I didn't have a vehicle in the VBT. So when I moved, it popped me out in Griffith's Reach, and I had to use the recover option for my VBT, but there was no durability loss because it wasn't lost that way. So they've accounted for those things, which was quite nice. So I think that it was a really good learning experience, and Vanessa and Vlad have been very active this last week, answering questions and doing things. Although I was a little sad. They did a hot fix the other day, and one of the things that they were supposed to have fixed was the stamina visual bug where you have your stamina bar kind of stuck on your screen. That was supposed to be fixed. It was not fixed. It's like it's a small, it's a nuisance thing. It's not anything that impacts your gameplay. It's annoying. And I got all excited, like, yay, it's fixed. It's not fixed. It's okay, though. On the PTC, it's supposed to, right now, there's a kind of a weird bug sometimes. If you delete a character, your fief may not become available for anybody to pick up. So you delete the character, restart because it was bugged. You couldn't go grab your stuff. In theory, this is fixed, and there's still some things being worked on. Those Opal Fire gems and your ship manifests that you have, you can sell those. Those were not just for Landrad. You can go sell those, and you can get some Solari from them. Players condensing into worlds, the markets are getting more and more expensive. So Solari, they still have a place. So those treasure hunting still counts as something, which is quite nice. More combat changes. There's still a lot of tweaking and balancing to do for combat, especially in the testing stations. I'm just going to leave it at that. There's still a lot more that needs to be done. Yeah. Coil the Storm, I guess, had not been destroying vehicles. Yeah, don't leave your vehicle outside, especially in the deep desert. They've also fixed the Landrad so that before it was closing like a day before, so you couldn't keep earning personal rewards after the voting started, and now they've pushed that back so you have more time for your personal rewards. Once the voting is done, you can't put more towards the vote, but you can still get more personal rewards, which is nice because you're like, I was this close, and things come up during the day, and sometimes you couldn't get on as early as you wanted, or might not even today, and Hey, Sorvina. We were just talking about you and your video that you did today on the testing stations. The House Waku um, placeable the placeable swatch is supposed to be fixed in the upcoming update from the PTC, and the repair glitch is supposed to be fixed. Hopefully, it is. Again, if people were relying on it, that's a skill issue. You're too lazy to go farm. That's not my problem. I know lots of people are waiting the Waku swatch. Yay, swatches! I know we kind of went kind of nuts in our guild. There's like no rhyme or reason. We were just like coloring everything, and improved Ilara's animations when cat calling and or bossing you around. I like to have the and or. She can cat call and boss you around. Yeah. The Waiku swatch was bugged for some people. They went and got the one from the Landrod. Speaking of the new location, so I grabbed these to show these off. I love this new location. Sorvina ran this one with me the other day. For all 5 contracts, it took us about an hour and a half. And I loved it. It's a beautiful map. It's a little on the big side, but there's, like I said, there's 5 contracts in it, and it doesn't feel as overwhelming big as like the Broodworks. But it feels like it's got more going on. Oh yeah, we stopped and admired things. We did. And you can see in this picture in the bottom right corner, there's things to admire. We did kind of poke around a little bit. We're like, should we go over there? And we're like moving the camera around. Do you see the thing? I see the thing. Do you see the thing? Yes, I do. So it's a really well done map. I think the team really knocked it out with this one, and it's very lore heavy, which was quite nice. I think that anytime we get a chance to get something that's got some meat to it, I mean, the new testing stations all tie back into the rest of the game in a nice fun way. I say that fun, so but they tie back. They do relate, and so that's quite a nice touch to the game. I like how it's not just an appendage on the side. Speaking how things tie into the game and make things look good, these are some art bits. This is all concept art and working art from before launch. And so like the lighting artists and just the people that help make the game look so good. This one is the souk. Yeah. Definitely not a place for the asthmatic. What I thought was really, really cool about the new location is it's got dew patches. It's got the flower patches, but there's no dew on any of them. Everything there is so baked. The air is so dry that there's no dew. But yes, that is the souk inside the hammer, underneath the hammer. And so this was them working on lighting. So I'm enjoying talking about the art because these guys are kind of like the unsung worker. We talk a lot about the devs and all the programming part, but the artists that started work and had gone to where they were working on the movies with Legendary and got to see all this stuff and work with Legendary's artists and lighting and working with Illumin and all that stuff. So this was a lot of work too, and we shouldn't forget. It's more than just the Mizrabah, yes. So this one is in Arrakis, and just how to get the dynamic lighting good. And I wish I could do it in our bases, but the location lighting and the location, just the way all the placeables are and how they made it look. It's the hammer to me too. How they make it look lived in and real, and even Arrakis, the seat of Atreides' power is shabby. It's got people sleeping on the street. There's like drunk people in the bar laying on the tables. It's it's not all shiny and pretty and powerful. I mean, it's been years since the Battle of Arrakis, and it's still broken and trashed outside. So it shows that they aren't where they would like to be. All the wrecks we see, they're all Atreides. Atreides took a beating. And so I like that we can kind of see that it's not all shiny and pretty. I mean, it's beautiful, and you can see what Arrakis would have been like beforehand, the high potential of it. And sometimes, what's that, when the sun hits just right, Arrakis is beautiful. And of course, knowing a little more what we know now, that is inside the siege. Some of that tech looks scarily familiar. The first time, hold on, let me see what you're saying. Do I know of anyone that doesn't have chapter 3? Everyone should have it available. If you finish chapter 2, chapter 3 should auto pop for you. So if you have finished chapter 2 and have done all the running around Arrakis and finished that story, you should have had it popped. Yeah. This was from the inside of the siege as well. I think it's changed since this one. Oh, the DLC. Oh, you're talking about the DLC for Smugglers, the Smugglers DLC. Yeah, there should be lots of people who don't have the DLCs. I'm not sure if everybody here has it or not, but yeah, it's the dust still area, but I wasn't sure if it had changed. The interior of it had changed a few times, and again, this is old, so I can never remember. It's been ages since I've run the siege. And again, just the lighting in there, the way that the dust comes in, it's quite nice. Excuse me. This is what the entrance used to look like back before launch. Excuse me. I kind of like finding these because these are things we can't show you, like the screenshots and things that we took during beta for testing purposes, but these are all publicly available. If you know where to look, once it's on the internet, it's out there. Scapegoat. Are you asking here if someone wants it from you? Because again, I'm not sure what would be the best way to part with that. I have not done chapter 3 yet. I haven't started it. I was trying to get through some of the Landsrod stuff to get some combat things and to get some better gear. I've heard that some of chapter 3's content is challenging, and I suck at combat. So, from the beginning of the game, we remember this from when you first pop out after Xantera rescues you. Again, just the way the lighting works. There's a spot now in where is it Thorvald, the Lands Red rep at the bottom of the rift. He's near the wreck there, and there's a part down there where there's what used to be a tank that's sitting under the wreck, and they've set the lighting now so that there's like a beam of light coming through the wreck, and it's landing on that tank. And it's just like, it's so good. It was such a deliberate choice to have that light aim at that tank where, just the carnage down there at the bottom of the rift it's nice. If you haven't been down there lately, it looks really good. The lighting in the rift overall is something I think that needs a little TLC. because I still get the flashing when you go through. How it's like, is it day night when you're going through there? So that's a little frustrating. But they did such a good job with, again, this was made by real people that worked really really hard to give us this visually stunning game. This is what the power station used to look like. An early beta. It's changed just a little bit. Big worm. Yeah. He said, I kind of like now that, if you know where to look to find these things. So just be able to share some of the process that we got to see. More concept art from the Gap. I love that really vivid red sand. Now, I'm going to admit, I have not been into any of the deep desert testing stations. They showed in some of the trailers, they showed characters walking through this tunnel. Does this tunnel exist, or is this just something from concepts that we never? I haven't been out into the deep desert, but I love the way that this looks. It's so, I don't want to say cozy, but it has a warmth to it. It's again the lighting works in testing stations, but the chairs. I mean, it looks like a comfortable office. But again, I know it just has this. I don't know. It doesn't feel as dangerous, I guess, as some of the other ones. Or as cold. This one felt like something probably some people were working in. Yeah, I was gonna say some of these are just concept art. Um, I've not seen anything like these either from anybody else. And I know from the art that I found, they had some very specific stations that were themed in a way that I've not heard anybody else actually talk about. So I don't know if they were concepts that they just put away, or concepts that people pitched and they were told no, or that something that might come later. I don't know. But I'm glad that we are able to see some of the art because, again, it's pretty darn cool. You can't deny the coolness factor of this one. This one's another one. I don't think I've seen anything like this. This one, they're growing the dew plants. You can see in the planters. That is some very bright light, though. But just some really, I mean, they've got the dirt piled up and the grow lights. And see, the reason I think that they're not in the game is some people have pointed out that the testing stations in the deep desert are repeats of the ones we've already seen, which makes sense because that way they can just reuse the assets. Fewer assets is a little less time to load and all that stuff. Fair enough. So given that we've not seen anything like this in Haga Basin, we probably are not in the deep desert, which means we might see something like this later. I don't know. It'd be very cool if we did. I love this one. This one reminds me of the water shipper's mansion if it were, deserted. And I love that after so long, I mean, this one looks pretty clean for something that's been sitting for 10,000 years. For something that's been sitting for a very long time. But it's kind of like, what do you call those? Like when you put all the stuff in the jar and you seal the jar and, it doesn't have anything coming in and out. The testing stations are kind of like that. They've just been sealed. And so whatever water was in the air was in there, whatever stuff was in the seed in the ground was there, and it's just kind of become it's like a terrarium, yeah, and it's just become a self-contained biome at this point because they've been sealed up for so long. 10,000 years is a long time. That's a lot of water. I would love to know what that's reflecting through. These, I don't recall seeing a name on these particular pieces of art. Otherwise, I would have shared them. But these are all concept art pieces that are up on ArtStation from Funcom artists, which I thought was quite nice. From and found Atlantis. Hold on. If there's anybody, report the new that the NPCs in the new labs are avoiding NPC grenades. I noticed when we were in there, it was just like they were just they were immune to everything that the other NPCs were doing, which was really annoying. I'm like, if I'm on fire, why aren't you on fire? You're literally standing in the ball of fire. You know, this napalm literally hits you point blank, and you're fine. Why are we all dying? This was in the Communinet from the concept artist. This one's from Christine Houston. Ooh, that is a good question. That could be as the polar caps because they do have water. That could be. That would be very cool. Ari's dress. The only thing that upset me a little bit about Ari here is like her hair still looked like a mess. It looked like she'd just come in from digging around in the desert. It's like, can you run a comb through it? You're dressed up in silk and gold and, run a brush through your hair, woman. But these were from the community. This would be a cosplay. If someone knew how to do this, can you imagine just an open back dress, though? That would feel very vulnerable. True, she does not want to be there. I do like how they kind of gave her not terribly high murder shoes. They gave her a little height, but not. She's not in murder shoes. I do love all the back potentials that they had for her. Those I would wear those. I mean, it would feel very vulnerable, but at the same time, if you could rock it, I like A and D, just the arm chains. That'd be very cool. Someone needs to make this happen. Some clever cosplayer needs to make that happen. Speaking of things in game, we had a thing the other day where we were trying to essentially ignore some chatter from the global chat in game because we were trying to do other stuff. Things kept popping up and it was a little annoying. Don't forget, in your display options, it is possible to block particular channels at any given time so you don't have to see stuff popping up on your HUD. So if you're streaming, this can be quite nice because not everybody wants that. A lot of us use Discord for that sort of thing, and so it keeps people private too. But you can turn off your stuff on your HUD, which is quite handy. Oh, show map messages on HUD. Does it mean I don't have to see every time I enter a new zone? Wouldn't that be nice? Or toxic crap going on in the deep desert. We were out doing a lot of spice harvesting the other week, and it was times it was like I really don't want to know what's going on out there. Community roundup. So to things that are going on in the community that are fun and stuff that we are doing to make the game fun and important. Servina and I were talking about the other day. Before launch, when they dropped the character creators, and people submitted some things that were interesting, to say the least. Some people took it seriously, and some people, I don't know if they took it seriously or they were just like, let's be deranged. But Pixel Cave doing their Pennywise, and I can't see, is that Deadly Member, Unholy Member, somebody up there? There's some stuff. There's some stuff in there that are quite concerning. Yeah. But we had a whole channel in the Discord that was just people submitting stuff that they made in the character creator because it was fun. We were building a community. We had a good community. We still do. We just need to kind of get better at tuning out the mess. And remember, folks, the block button in Discord is your friend. Don't engage with people that suck the life out of things for you. Yeah, there were a lot of Joker variations. A lot of Joker variations. This is from Artemis Bright in the official Discord. You can find a lot of their stuff on Reddit. They've had stuff in Pimp My Dune, and they share videos and things sometimes on the official Discord. Their buildings are top notch. And I love how it looks like a console, like a spaceship. That is so well done. The windows fit the aesthetic. I like it. This is from Clary in the official Discord, and I thought this was too darn cute. We've got all the little cute fuzzy animals. The Kulan, the Muad'Dib, we got a little bat. It's adorables. Just a Muad'Dib with the big bunny ears. This one is adorable. This one's some amazing art. We had some really nice submissions in the fan art thread. The Kulan does look a little scared. Maybe it's the Kulan is turn to take watch. Right? I don't know. The Kulan is definitely wide awake. They also submitted this one on the official Discord, and I think it's adorable. It's absolutely adorable. But if you know that scene, it's also a little sad. No. This is from the Gaul on the official Discord. They've got some other art up there, but I grabbed this one because I thought it was really well done. Excuse me. They did some original art for some characters they have on Narbog, I think it is. I know we need some things like that. We need like some armor stands, and we need some place for Noctua. You know, there's so many cosmetic options that I would love to have. I'm like, let them get the game working properly, and then the cosmetics need to come. We'll pay for the cosmetics. Give us. It's been that kind of week on the official Discord. I don't know who started the Yo Mama jokes on the official Discord, and they got a little out of hand at times, but I did think this one was kind of funny. We absolutely will wait. We will pay for amazing cosmetics. We know if it's the same artists that they're using for stuff for Conan, it'll be amazing. Their stuff in Conan is amazing, and we just need to bring that to Dune, and we'll be set. We'll be good to go. That furniture number that they gave us that feels kind of outrageous. We'll fill up spaces if you give me some variety to do it with. Absolutely. This is from Evie on the official Discord. This is their base in the deep desert near the PvP line. They said they had set up so they could go out and get spice. I just love the glowing eyes. You know, it's a good shot, though. It's just like postcards from Arrakis. Look, Ma, I'm in the desert. This is from Endless Sauron in the official Discord. Loves a nice little compact base. They've got a little of everything that they need. I would not leave my vehicle outside, but if they've got room for everything, though, you could put stuff on the ground floor easy enough, like your bikes and buggies. It should fit. The buggy can go inside. You've got room for the basics. So, but I thought it was a really clever little base. And the spice bottle fixed to pop in the back. The smugglers made the smuggler still suit my current one. I really like it. It looks good. This one is from Franklin Payne in the official Discord. Another nice use of the smuggler stuff. But I also like that they have used the Atreides swatch, turned everything nice and green. Someday I will have the guts to put up enough power. I'm like, if the power ever goes out, your whole base is exposed. But just to have that much light in your base, it'd be so nice. I remember sitting in our base going, "It's dark in here," because our storeroom is very dark. I guess we could put some windows in or something. I don't know. But that's a very nice, bright base. This is from Turtle on the official Discord. I know we were running around just going, we're going to Argosize this one and Harkonnen that one and Vernius this one. Just like put them all down. Because why not? Yeah, someone's about to take some damage on that scout. Because that's the deep desert, I believe. And that will mess your scout up. Oh, absolutely all in good fun. Absolutely all in good fun. I have no problems with it. This is another one. This is Griff in the official Discord. He said that was taken. He's on the back of a harvester. Having sat, we have a base down in Sheol that's outside the radiation area, and it's on the very southern part of the map. And if you ever have a chance to go down there and sit on one of those islands and just sit and listen to the worm go by, it's disturbing. It is so disturbing. I cannot imagine being out on a harvester in the deep desert listening to the worm go by, because that is terrifying. You know, you're hearing the Jaws music as it is. You know, if you've heard it, it's, you know what I'm talking about. And just to know that you're that close to losing, you know, your gear, everything you got on you, that expensive harvester, that close. He is that close. No. I'd be on the, you know, the radio with whoever has got the carryall saying, "Get me out of here." Just no. This is from that fat boy Fabio on the official Discord, and he was talking about how, you know, he's got his Akira bike and a really good shot of the worm. I think if you've had, close calls like that, you know, that doesn't feel like a good shot. It feels like, you know, it feels like stress. When you're like, run, 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 run. Yeah, that's how you get the achievement. This one was captioned, "I have not been duping, I have been making a sandword pit." This is from Video Gamist on Reddit. I thought that was a nice touch. I have not been duping. I have been making a sandworm pit. Hey, someone's on a controller. Got the little sandworms in the bottom there. That's a nice touch, though. Have a little something in the storeroom. I'm curious if those are lights or if that's sunlight coming through the top. Because it's broad enough, it could be sunlight. Maybe. This is from Floorbit on Reddit. It was titled "Just Making Some BS." Like, that was a lot of brick for some BS. We had something like that in beta, not in that location. We had it in the Udom, in one of the kind of top parts of the pillars that have the big kind of open space, and had a ramp going down to the bottom. And if you've ever driven around in there, that place is a maze. So getting a buggy to it, because the ground in there, if you can get into the Udom on the ground, getting out is a whole nother story. And getting in and out with the buggy was nightmarish. Getting the buggy up into the base was nightmarish, because it wasn't even sensical like that one. He had switchbacks in weird places, and it was different. It was definitely different. This is from Kennett 0508 on Reddit, and they've got a. If you get a chance, go look at it on Reddit. It's got a big part of the base is underneath, which is really challenging because you can only go down so far before you start losing stability, even if you've put extenders on it. And the rift is also tricky because there's lots of no build zones there because they don't want people blocking the road or blocking any of the NPC locations down there. So the rift is really full of no build zones. It's got just big red blocks everywhere. So I thought this one was very clever. I'm curious where they have their fuel generators. I pulled this from Facebook. It was their real name, so I'm not going to tell you what their real name was. I'm going to hold that from privacy. But this was a very busy deep desert. See, that is a lot of mediums around one blow on a hill that I will not touch because if you land on a hill and your thopter starts going down the hill, that is always scary. That is a very good question. Updating with the smuggler exhaust could make that look very, very cool. That would have to be in a PvE area. I'm going to guess it's probably on D row. And it is PvE because you look at the top, it's not in red. So that is just a ton of mediums, very desperate for spice on D row, or the very edge of E. Can you imagine? It's a very fresh blow, so it's got the column still. So you're hearing all of that. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 thopters. That is a lot of thopters around one medium. And two of you sat down, hit it twice, and you're going to get. I mean, it would not be safe at all. One person with the thumper was just going to mess up everybody's day. This was a guild meeting by Daughter of Dune on Reddit. Daughter of Dune posts a lot of really nice screenshots. They all go down to compact, and suddenly Grandfather Worm comes because he thinks. I mean, yeah, they're really very, very busy. But yeah, Daughter of Dune posts a lot of really great video and stuff on Reddit. So Pixel Cave posted this. When you really need water, just drop a container, clear out a couple of slaver camps, and take it home. And I'm like, that is a lot of water. How much water do you need that you need a whole container of bodies? How much water are you going through? I mean, when we've done plastic production, okay, it felt like we went through that many bodies. But dang, that's a lot of water. Just clear it all out. To be fair, I hate that particular base. I go in it only because you have to. Yeah, I'll take a buggy. I'll go, around and fill a buggy, but I cannot imagine filling a whole container with bodies. That would be tedious. And then that container is now full of bodies until forever, and that takes up a whole vehicle. I guess if you're a really busy a really busy guild doing high production, and you expect to go through all of that in a day or two, but for what we use, we'd be staring at those bodies. It's like sending Paolo to go get anything. You're going to have so much you're going to be staring at it for 3 months because the man's a machine. That's a lot of bodies. Yeah, it would be nice. This is from Red Panda Bandit on the official Discord. I shared some of their art last week, I think it was. They do some nice art. Back to another brown pant moment. This is from Rodso on the official Discord. I think it's been nice to see the people playing with the new build set. But we need more placeables. We need more things in it to make it feel more alive. More coffee tables and end tables would be nice. We have our main base is sitting at about 2.1 mil water. In the plastron, when you hit the button a couple times, we've gotten down to 500 milliliters of water. Like, okay, put some, throw some bodies in, but we don't do that kind of production very often. There's not that many of us. We're a pretty small guild. So thankfully we don't have to do that kind of production super often. And right now we've been running stuff that would use we use some tier 6, but not a lot. We're not breaking a lot of gear, so we have enough to make stuff if we want it, but we're not in a position where we're like in a pinch, which is quite nice because it is what it is. This is from Sharp Briar on the official Discord. They were taking a bike ride out on the deep desert because why not? Right? Why not? I think one of the things I would love to do, something we did in beta, and I would love to be in a position to do again, is we did a bike race out in the deep desert on steel tier bikes. And it was a last man standing race for obvious reasons. We had a circuit around some islands that we were going to do, and the worm took us. It was great, though. It was a lot of fun. A tread bike race would be hilariously fun. The tread bike race goes great in a straight line. It's just if you have to turn, which makes the smuggler's run so challenging because you have to turn so much and you just pinball off the sides or over the side if you're not careful. This one is called the Sofa Locker Room from Overall Cabinet on Reddit. I love Reddit names. They're just like random stuff. But yeah, what I would like to do sometime, if we can get us all on, is do the way our hangar hangs out over the rift is take tread bikes or regular bikes and go out through the hangar into the bottom of the rift, out into like Anvil, and do a race that way. That could be a lot of fun. Because if we go out, we have to cross through the rift and then the quicksand and whatever, and go whichever way you feel is fastest. That could be a lot of fun. We should totally do it. This is from Patron 6772. What needs to be checked by mods? Remember, I can't see what's on Twitch. What am I doing? This? What? Don't leave me hanging, Sorbina. Oh, the give me a sec. I can't see Twitch. I'm sorry. The naughty tint. I'll check that in a moment. I apologize. This was another of my overall cabinet. I don't know. The Autobot moderator thing is so particular. It is so picky. I don't even know what it does half the time. That is a scary spot to be, because they're not far from, is that a flower patch or radiation? I can't tell. And then the storm's coming, and they're in armor. Why would you be in armor instead of a steel suit? I don't know. Whatever. The ever battle of which do you wear. This was from Time Travel Lord on the official Discord. Yeah, sometimes you just have to land hard. You just have to land hard. Hey, any landing where you walk away from is a good landing, right? So we're going to tell ourselves. I have crashed some scouts. I've definitely crashed my fair share of scouts. And every now and then I've had a carrier do the squat thing where it's like, but I've not landed it quite like that. That took some talent, I think. I know that still suit. This is from Whiskoff on the official Discord. Nice close spice blow. Keep that'll wake you up. Obi-Wan, yet another happy landing. Absolutely. Um, yeah, don't text and fly. So this is actually a video. Let's see. Yeah, this is from Lebo on Reddit. What a great shot. Because they've got a spice blow going off in the background and the worm popping up. And that again. What an excellent shot to get. Right? Okay. All right. Let me see what. It didn't like your fellow. I don't know what would it find wrong with your fellow, but it didn't like your fellow racers. And I don't know. The mod is. I don't know. I absolutely do not know why it does what it does. Oh, thank you for the follow. Sorry I didn't see it. If it's on when the PowerPoint is up, I can't see Twitch proper. I do apologize for that, but thank you. I appreciate that. Welcome to the mayhem, right? Such as it is. We have our moments, right? We have our moments. The Automod is bad. There was a dev stream probably right before Christmas. They apparently used the same Automod, and if you wrote more than like one sentence, it muted you on the dev stream. So if you're like trying to ask questions on their stream, and I ended up with a lot of people in my Discord because they were in my stream because I was streaming along because they were muted in theirs and they couldn't talk anymore. It was, and if the mod gets really particular, it will mute you and delete everything you said in the stream. It is unforgiving. Very, very unforgiving. Trying to think what I was going to... Oh, we're going to talk a little bit about lore. I have a little bit of lore talk for a bit. I was asked about the Al-Shahid Al-Khadib. Hello. Hey there. How are you? And with that, there's a little bit in game. We're going to talk a little bit about the Bene Gesserit a little bit and the impact and kind of the stuff that they do. And so this might be a little bit spoilery if you have not finished the Bene Gesserit training. But we know from lore that the Bene Gesserit have been impacting the Fremen for a long time. We know that the Sayadina on Arrakis had the poison drug. We know that they had a type of prescience before then. We know that they had a breeding program of their own at that time. Excuse me. Which is a little vague because of the timing. Which came first? Was it the Zensuni Wanderers having their program? Yes. So we're about to go into an ad break, so I'm going to hold off on the lore stuff. But yes, we are all very glad to see that there are finally some consequences for the duping and the cheating and the just the bad behavior. I've seen some people say some very audacious things like, they shouldn't ban people because if they ban people for bad behavior, then no one will play. It's like, but the bad behavior drives people away. No one's going to start a game where there's a reputation for duping getting no consequences or blowing up people's bases having no consequences. No one's going to engage with that bad behavior. I'm not going to spend 50 quid to pay to be mistreated. So clearing out the miscreants, so to speak, and giving some consequences will hopefully make the game better in the long run. Yeah, we don't want to have bad actors. We don't to say that. Well, if if we ban people, then no one will play. Well, that implies that those of us who are still playing and have been playing are doing these things, and we are not. Some of us have played pretty consistently since launch. My group has been, I don't want to say active, but we've been around since launch. We log in regularly. We haven't lost power or anything, and our core group has been pretty consistent since launch. We are not dupers. We are not griefers or anything like that. We just want to play. And watching your market prices go crazy, and I'm like, you're wanting 20 million for something. I'm like, we don't even have 20 million between us. We're poor. We don't have that. So yeah, I'm watching the ad break. We're gonna get into lore when the ad break ends, because I don't want anybody to miss it. But yeah, I have no idea what the ads are. We have a minute left, and then we'll start talking a bit about some Bene Gesserit tomfoolery, I guess, for lack of a better term. But yes, we are very glad that there's consequences. We've talked several times on this podcast about moderation and how we need to feel like it's a bit more consistent in all ways, because it feels, and I get why it takes a long time for moderation to happen, because they don't want people to moderate people, false accusations to get people in trouble and get them banned. But at the same time, if you're reporting people and months go by and nothing happens, it's like, did they even see the report? Are they going to do anything about the report? There was someone in the official Discord that was saying some homophobic things, so I reported it, and I got the message back saying this has been dealt with according to policy. And not even 90 seconds later, the person's still there saying the same stuff. And I'm like, so your policy is do nothing. And that did not feel very good. So it was nice to see some consequences in the game for some bad behavior. Okay. We are back from our ad break. I have the clip from whenever you speak to the Bene Gesserit trainer about, let me see, I want to make sure I'm pronouncing this right, the Al-Shahid Kadib, which is the seer of lies. Now, we see it a little bit. We talked to Ari at one point, and she talks about the vision that she has, and Xantera is like, this is not what it is. Yeah, delete the message, but not actually do anything to the person who consistently keeps saying the message, and that's not helpful. So let's see here. We are going to show some video.
You have come a long way, Adept. You are quite unlike any other I have encountered on this accursed world. You are both competent and deliberate, a rare combination outside the Sisterhood. There is something about you, Adept. I sensed it from the first. I know not what part you have to play in this grand drama, but it will be an important one. I cannot tell you without breaking my oath to protect the Sisterhood's greatest secret. And while I have every reason to hate them for their willful ignorance, I will not cross that line.
Excuse me.
What I can tell you is that, like all those who seek to hold the reins of power, the Bene Gesserit are obsessed with controlling the future. And while I share their vision for the future, I believe they are on the wrong path to that future. I believe the true path leads right here.
Harkonnen just go walk right in the middle of us.
Indeed I will, Adept. My work here is not yet done. Allow me time to consider all we have learned and decide my next steps. I will undoubtedly have more intrigue for you to get caught up in.
Undoubtedly.
Do you actually have a question about Fremen law? The Al-Shahid Al-Kadib. Where did you hear of that? Very well. I'll tell you what I know. In my research of Proto-Fremen religion, I discovered the notes of an Enhedwana, a sort of pre-Fremen hybrid of a Sayadina and soothsayer. Her dreams had an uncanny knack of coming true, and one of her dreams described a twin-tailed comet falling from the sky. A great chariot of fire carrying the Al-Shahid Akadib, a great prophet born to expose the falsehoods that blind us all, the seer of lies. Prophecies are never literal, Adept. You must probe deeper if you are to get at the truth.
So that did clarify things. So what happened on Rosic was before the Bene Gesserit influence. So we had a Sayadina, a proto-Sayadina, right, who had these vivid dreams, these prophecies about a bringer of truth, a seer of lies, right? We know when Xantera pulls this out and he says Adab, he's overcome with the demanding memory. He's remembering something he didn't even think he knew when he sees you. And we also know from later when he says he sees you, he sees the sleeper, and then he doesn't, he just sees you. He was thinking about this Al-Shahid Akadib because Ari had told him about the prophecy. Now, Ari's saying she's had the same vision. And that also makes me wonder, is Ari using the spice, right, as they do, and seeing what story she has been told, or is she having an actual premonition or prescience with the spice? Because it's the same prophecy, it's the same vision as someone a long time ago had. And the question of the seer of lies, as we go through the story, we're finding lots of things, and many of the people we are speaking to are not necessarily telling us the truth, or they might be telling us the truth as they think it is, but it's not actually true. Something, when I was doing the research, something pointed out to me that I hadn't really thought about. Speaking of truths, and Ari, when you're in the siege, right, and she points out this is some tech. The Fremen aren't known to be tech people. This is some tech that they probably should not have, right? And we know from going forward, some of that looks suspiciously like what we've seen in Carthage, all right? Close. But it's some high-tech stuff. We find the recording of Agent X, the guy who Stilgar thinks could be the Lisan al-Gaib. We have to go to the Hephaestus to get an Ixian decoder to decode this guy's message. Which begs the question, why would he be encoding things on Ixian tech? Because he's also one of us. Does he know he's one of us? Is he trying to discover more, or does he already know who he really is and what he's supposed to be doing, which is infiltrate the Fremen, which is where he thinks he is, right? If he's been taken into Stilgar's warm welcome arms, is he waking the sleeper? Is he doing his job? I don't believe he is the Lisan al-Gaib. He doesn't fit the profile, because he's supposed to arrive with the Bene Gesserit mother. So, but I think that Stilgar, whenever we see him in the movie, he's a fanatic, and I think he sees what he wants to see, and he sees someone who could be Lisan al-Gaib, but he jumps on him. And I had the feeling in the movie when he brings Jessica and Paul home that everyone just kind of rolls their eyes at him like, you found this lost puppy and you want this one to be Lisan al-Gaib. How many potentials has he brought home? No, this one's the chosen one. No, this one's the chosen one. This one's totally the chosen one this time. So I think when Ari talks about this vision, I wonder, is she remembering something like Adab? Is she having her own vision that is similar? She would not have taken the truth serum or the water of life yet. She's too young. Because those things would be saved for postmenopausal women, right? Um, Jessica would not have been trained in that stuff. We know from lore that she would not have been trained in that because that was not her job. Her job was to be a concubine. Her job was to be a uterus with legs. That was her job to be to produce an heir, a daughter. That was her entire purpose in existence. Excuse me. So we have the, there's just a lot there. Now in lore, could Bronsovernius have fit the part of the seer of lies position? We know from later in the books that he spent a lot of time trying to excuse me, trying to call out Paul for all of the things that he was doing wrong publicly, even though we know that he was, that's all stuff in the books. For us, Bonzo doesn't live that long. Excuse me. The Bene Gesserit also mentions Tessa Vernius, which is Bronzo's mother, by the way. So there's lots of connections there. The Bene Gesserit have so many fingers and so many pies that some of the lines get crossed. And one thing about fanatics is because they don't care about facts, it doesn't matter if some of the lines aren't clear or you can't take this thing literally. Thing kind of pops up, and so they can kind of twist it to mean whatever they want. They can stick people into that peg hole and make them fit, whether that's where they should have been or not. But yeah, the Fremen have tech, but because their nomadic nature, they don't. I don't think they rely heavily on it because it's going to be heavy, it's going to be clunky, it needs repairs. The faster way to move, the sieges don't move a lot, but again, they were at risk. The southern hemisphere would be safer because the storms and because the storms are supposed to be heavier there, and the bribes to the guild to essentially not look there because, oh no, the storms are too bad, nobody could live down there, so no one looks. But yeah, there's tech all over the place. I mean, if the Fremen had gotten into any of those testing stations before the bandits did, then they would have access to the tech. But it makes you wonder what the Fremen would be doing with tech that you see in Carthage or in the bottom of the dark testing station, because that's the same stuff. Or in the testing stations from the Lost Harvest DLC. What would the Fremen be doing with that type of tech? And I wonder how fanatic the Fremen were. I'm drawing a blank. When it comes to things like the Orange Bible and the lines of where tech is appropriate, because we know that the idea that if you go blind, no, you're not getting some fake eyes. You go out there and die. Where would they draw the line for tech? That kind of thing. It's a good question. On that note, thinking about the books, while I'm thinking about it, I did start up a Patreon. And in that, what I'm going to be doing is deep lore dives into the books. The first book right there, the blue one, is the first 3 books. So it's a big chunky book. But I'm looking at the first bit is going to be looking at how Paul is essentially set up to be more than he is. So things like the Gom Jabbar test, how he is established to be not an animal. Later on, whenever he's at the dinner party, when he's looking at things like a mentat, and he's kind of disappointed in his mother for not noticing stuff. To be fair, Jessica's not the brightest bulb. Again, she wasn't there to be, you know, she's not an advisor. She's a concubine, and she's also kind of flighty. Um, and she's spending a lot of time kind of helicoptering over Paul. And so she realizes, hey, he's been trained in all of these schools. That makes him different, and he starts to put the pieces together himself. So the first bit from that content will be some exploration from the books, um, into some of the different characters and some different themes in the books. So we'll see how that goes. We shall see. Let me see. As far as Ari and the dream, so Ari has the same dream as the proto Sayadina. So they're not even fully Sayadina, integrated into the system the way that the Bene Gesserit want them to be. So we know Ari has not taken the water of life or the truth serum yet, again, because she's premenopausal. It would not make sense to have her have access to that because she's not had kids yet. And she's not done having kids. Do I have my Patreon? Do I have my Patreon set up yet? I should. And yeah, the Ixian decoder. I had made notes about this. Oh, Fenring. Fenring knows so much more than what he's let on, right? A line from Fenring says, if you value the past or the mind, then Golas are worthless. But you are a refinement. Your compulsion doesn't drive you to madness as it did to the ones before you. So every generation, we know from what we see in Carthag, that the process did not always work properly. Let's put it that way. The process did not always work properly. However, Agent X is older than you are. And we know that the glutton is older than you are, and the paranoid is older than you are, and the jackal is older than you are. So where does essentially this guy who they think is Lisan Al Gaib, where does he fit into this? That he doesn't have the same compulsion as you do. The jackal, everyone tells you that they can break it. The water shipper's like, oh yeah, I can tell you how to break the compulsion, but he was still subject to it. And maybe the jackal had figured it out. I mean, he was hiding out. He wasn't compulsively chasing things. But and how many did Fenring run into that he let kill themselves before he figured out it was a compulsion that they couldn't control it? How many of your siblings killed themselves in front of Fenring with him just kind of letting them do it like a lab rat because he's kind of a sociopath? That one's a good question. I'm honestly, yeah, it probably was quite a bit because I can see Fenring. Everybody's a little bit of a sociopath. Yeah. And exactly. Fenring knows, and he suspects when you're picked up that you're one of them. That's why he wears the mask. So again, how many of your siblings did he go through before he decided to stop, letting them kill themselves? And then you go back to Alara. She knows stuff too. She just doesn't talk about it. So I mean, there's so many questions still that the story needs to come back to and answer. Lots of speculation on who you are when it relates to Tessa Vernius and Bronzo Vernius and that whole thing and the incident, that is mentioned at the end of chapter 2. Where does the seer of lies fit into a feudal society that is built on lies. You know, there's secrets and secrets and secrets. Yes, the incident. Um, I was rereading again. I've got just the abridged versions of the House books, but I was rereading through the House Carino books with a very interesting discover about Peter, um, and who he and what's happened to Peter. Peter's he's a weirdo, um, but something happens to Peter, and the Baron is slightly annoyed by what has happened to Peter and slightly delayed in his plannings with what happens to Peter. Um, but at the beginning of the Dune book, when the Baron is essentially told that the Atreides are taking things over, and Peter's like, "Yes, this is what we wanted," and the Baron's really annoyed at Peter for things, and he's plotting, what kind of horrible torture can I give to Peter, and he makes the observation. He's like, "It doesn't matter what I do to Peter. Peter seems to like it." It's like, yeah, he kind of does. He kind of likes the abuse. Um, and then things, but the interesting thing is that isn't the Peter you think Peter is. Anyway, but yes, the seer of lies. A little harder, a little sharper. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Um, but where does the seer of lies come through this? I mean, it kind of fits though, because as we proceed as players and we discover things, we've seen the truths that the Fremen believed and their history. And we know the truth of their existence. They are not wiped out. We know as we go through, we find the truth of the houses, like Atreides is not the good guys. We see that in the new location too. There's stuff about both Harkonnens and Atreides. So we see the truth that the Atreides are losing this war. We see some of their misbehaviors as much as we do the Harkonnens. They're both bad guys. We see these truths as we are developing our own storyline, going through discovering who we are and how we relate to Arrakis. So, I mean, in a sense, we are that. But we. Sorbina. We do need more story, and we need to see. I mean, there's lots of speculation about what's going to be coming in Water Shippers, and I am very, very curious about that, because there's again that speculation. People have said all kinds of things, and it's hard because there's this kind of crossover in thinking that the DLC name is the same as the expansion. Chapter 3 is the story, right, that comes with the arena, and then there's the Water Shipper, the Smugglers DLC. That's just the cosmetic stuff. And with chapter 4, there's a DLC called Water Shippers. People are like, that's going to be the PvP map. No, that's a DLC. That's going to be like Lost Harvest. That's going to be a little story. That itself will not be anything that is going to give things that would be pay to win. You'll have something equitable. Whatever they give us will have something equitable in the vanilla game. Now, the expansion that they give us at that time, that could be where they give us the PvP rework. There could be, they talked back in the AMA last summer about a new PvE type map when they put the Deep Desert back, because they had talked about that way back when. But they haven't mentioned anything about it since, though. So that could have just been saying, speculation on this. We could do it this way, where they create a smaller version of the Deep Desert where we could get tier 6 materials in lower quantities than what you can in the deep desert. Put the deep desert back to what it was. Yeah, the DLC itself is not going to be the big faction warfare extravaganza that some people seem to think it's going to be. The DLC is just going to be, it'll be a little story, and it'll have some cosmetic stuff with it. It might have a little build set, it might have some furnitures, it might have some skins, but it's going to be a little story that's going to take you 2.5 hours to run, like the other one. It's not going to be the expansion. What the expansion is going to have, they've been very quiet on, and we don't know if the PvP update is coming at the same time. If it is the PvP map, yeah, there, there's some. It's not that kind of game. It is absolutely not the kind of. They were adamant in Conan. All of the DLC are cosmetics. Um, there were some things that if you had the DLC, it essentially gave you the same version of weapons with like skins on them, essentially, but you could open up slightly early. But the game's only got 60 levels. You could be at max level in a day. So if I got an iron sword an hour before you, that's not a huge difference for PvP. It really isn't, because yeah, it wasn't pay to win. But the Harvester story was good. It had, and you get the little flamethrower at the end. People were all mad about that. It's like, yeah, because all of us are out there. We're totally using flamethrowers all over the place. Everybody's loving these pyro rockets. And people were mad about the tread bike. Oh my god, it's going to be better than the bike. But the story was fun. I enjoyed the story. It was scary in the right places and horrific in all the right places, and it gave us some more Dune, And I think that's what we want. We need more Dune, not just grindy labs. We need more story. We need a dragon variant for the pyro rocket. Okay, that could be fun. The tread bike is functioning better in that it does go a little faster, but only in a straight line. Only in a straight line. I've taken a Mark V to Smuggler's Run just for giggles, and I did have to. And you went with me once. We took we had to run it a couple of times because we ran off the track, but it was fun. It was fun. The pacing was excellent for. I think the problem people had with the pacing with the DLC was when it dropped, most of us had already been playing for a while. So it assumes that you play it in pace with where you are. So if you're just starting and you get across the gap and you hear the call for help, and then as you go north, you'll do it. You wouldn't do it all in one run. And yeah, it does give you some character choice. It does give you character choice. I felt like I went off the track, like around there's places that the track is very unfriendly, even if you're solo. But the two of us running together, we were like, I was trying to stay on my side of the road, which does not happen. It does not happen. It did go smoother when it was just one of us. And it was a nice change. It Smuggler's Run with the tread wheel is great. It is great. We had a lot of fun. But yes, I think for those of us who ran beta and had already run so much of the content at least a dozen times, to have that bit and again dig into the meat of what Dune is, the harvester being shut down. I like the idea of the event that they did that brought it up. The actual booming of the event was not so nice. I spent most of those 2 weeks on the PTC because I couldn't handle the booming. But the new content was so nice and it fit. It was more Dune. And the last time we met with the devs, and I know several other creators talked about this. This is about 6 weeks ago or so. we asked, when are we going to get more content like that? And Jeff El Jefe had said one of the reasons it's difficult to do new content like that, because I'm like, we need the contract boards, we need some more little something immersive content. He said the hard part is because right now people have built over everything, and it makes it hard for them to find places for us to go do stuff. Because I mean, things like we've been to the slaver camps 9 million times, right? Because we go, a lot of contracts take you in there. So finding someplace else for us to go, or setting up a content, and again, he kind of hinted at new maps would have more spots for us that they could pre-block out with no build zones to give us some more content. But those are things that are going to have to come down the road. Again, you're spending all this time preparing for console launch. Ideally, they're still looking at the end of this year for consoles. They're doing bug fixes now and content now. So and their team is smaller than what they had planned on it being whenever they put forward this grand plan of a 10-year plan. So we just have to be patient. This is the hard part. We want more, but we got to be patient. Yeah, and I think that's it. That if you were a new character around that time, and you were of, I'll wait. We mean no patience. I know ads suck. Sorry, I can't fix it. 45 seconds. 33 seconds. Because I want to talk a little bit more about this. Oh, you've been working on the ATV. Sounds like fun. Everybody likes work. Yeah, some people enjoy it. Being able to get outside and do stuff. It has its place. But welcome. I'm glad you could make it. Loads. 6 seconds. Okay. To talk about the Lost Harvest DLC, I think if you had started around the time the DLC dropped and you were running it at level, it probably would have been a lot more fun to run, and a lot more challenging. Because if you're already at Dura gear, when you go in there to someplace that's down in Haga Basin South, there's no challenge. You're one-shotting everything. But if you run things at level, it could be a lot of fun. Yes, when you play it on the PTC, whenever you move to out of the starting area and into the main game, because the Haga Basin South is kind of the extended tutorial. When you move into Haga Basin and things start kicking off, that's the time to go run it. And running things later means things aren't at level. And this was a problem they had in Conan. Conan doesn't really have a story. It only has 60 levels. But again, the map is tiered in the same way. The easy parts in the south, the most difficult parts are in the north. And what people would do, because they like to min-max, is they would run up north as fast as they could. They would grab the stuff from up the north and make this big army thing, and then come back down south to run the content, and then complain that it was too easy. And they're like, well, yeah, it was made for a character level 15 and you're level 60. It's not going to be a challenge to you now. I don't know if they're going to expand the Haga map itself. I mean, it looks like they could, but I don't know if they will, or if they'll just put more stuff on the overland. The overland is a safer option, especially given some of the areas on Haga Basin map that are consistently stuttery, like Sentinel City and parts of the Rift, and Jebel Lafitte that have stutter issues. If you played Conan, this was hilarious. So I remember coming through one day, and there'd been an update. We were just running around because this is before they had horses. You literally had to run everywhere. And we come around the corner, and I'm like, I remember stopping. I'm like, there's a volcano that was not there before. Like, it just appeared. It just appeared. And then there was a swamp. It just appeared. And we were just kind of roll with it. But yeah, there's 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 lots of room for growth still, and I'm wanting to be hopeful that they are continuing to move forward. Like I said, if they could get 5 minutes of the ability to stop fixing things that hundreds of people are actively breaking. All the people saying, "Well, I only destroyed a five that was already down." It's like if 400 of you were banned, then y'all weren't breaking. Find 400 abandoned bases on Harmony. I'm pretty sure there was not a 400 abandoned bases on Harmony. So some of y'all are liars. But yes, expansions will be coming. Ideally, the roadmap plan was second quarter. I know Iggy said that they might have to revisit that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The 400 people were banned, 1,000 bases a day on those busy worlds. So you can't tell me there was 1,000 bases on the top 5 busiest worlds that were empty. Oh yeah, there's totally 1,000 bases empty. There are 1,000 players on those. I think Harmony's got like 300 players. A population of 350, something like that. You can't tell me. Yeah, they're take your band, shut up, and learn, or bitch. I don't know. I had to stop going to the official Discord so much. I went back in at the start of this PTC. I have regrets. I muted a bunch of people today because people whine, and I just don't have the stamina for it anymore. Just anyway. This is probably a good place to wrap up. If y'all have requests for content for us to talk about for lore, come to the Discord and let me know. If you have requests for lore conversations from the books, also come to my Discord and let me know. We're mostly easy. We don't bite without consent. And yeah, I think this is a good point to back up. Anybody else have any questions, comments, concerns, lore stuff that they want to talk about? Hopefully in the next week we will know more about closures and have a better list of what's going to happen. Our world is currently not on the list, but they did say that the list was not complete. Iggy has been quiet for a week, and I'm very, very concerned. I will play chapter 3 soon. What I need to do is I need to go run some more combat missions so I can get some combat perks so I don't die so much in chapter 3. I'm very afraid of chapter 3. I've heard terrible things about chapter 3. But I do need to go play it because it's part of the story, and that's what I've been waiting for. I think that's part of why I'm just afraid. Everybody was saying it's really, really short after, the chapter 1 was so long. And then chapter 3 being like 2 hours. So I'm nervous about it. But yes, chapter 3 is coming. And hopefully we'll hear more about what's coming with the PvP update. They have a lot of stuff, and they've got a lot of iron in the fire that they need to update us on. They really, really do. But on that note, I think this is a good time to go ahead and wrap it up. If someone can drop the link to my Discord, everybody is, of course, welcome to come chat. We are pretty easygoing people. And I need to set up my Patreon link, I guess. Yeah, I will do that this next week. And so on that note, I will catch everybody later. I will see everybody out in the sand. So we'll catch you later. Bye-bye.